Imagine waking up tomorrow to headlines declaring that Pakistan is about to fly a stealth jet capable of slipping past the most advanced radars in the world, a machine designed in China, whispered about in defense circles, and now rumored to be destined for the skies above South Asia. How would that change the way the world looks at Pakistan, at China, and at the fragile balance of power in this region? That's not just speculation, it's the storm of controversy swirling around the J-35. The J-35 stealth fighter represents far more than just another addition to the catalogue of Chinese military aviation. It embodies an entirely new dimension of strategic thinking that could directly alter the power balance in South Asia if Pakistan were to gain access to it. At its core, the J-35 is designed as a fifth-generation multi-role combat aircraft capable of engaging in air-to-air combat, deep strike missions, and electronic warfare while remaining hidden from conventional radar systems. Its sleek aerodynamic design, internal weapons bay, and radar-absorbing materials give it a genuine edge in contested airspace, where survivability often decides the outcome of a mission. For Pakistan, a country constantly measuring itself against India's military modernization, the very possibility of acquiring such a platform is both a symbolic and strategic statement. India's induction of French Rafales and its ongoing pursuit of indigenous stealth technology underlines a widening capability gap that Islamabad cannot afford to ignore. The J-35, with its ability to threaten high-value targets without being easily detected, offers Pakistan an opportunity to leapfrog some of the technological limitations it currently faces with its JF-17 Thunder fleet and older F-16s. Critics argue that the aircraft is still under development and not yet combat-proven, but that does not dilute its potential as a future game-changer. Even if Pakistan does not immediately procure large numbers, the psychological impact of being associated with cutting-edge stealth capability would be significant in shaping deterrence dynamics with India. In modern warfare, perception plays nearly as important a role as reality, and the suggestion that Pakistan could soon field stealth aircraft sends ripples across strategic circles. Moreover, the J-35's interoperability with Chinese systems could allow Pakistan to integrate it seamlessly into its evolving doctrine of layered air defense, complementing platforms like the J-10C. Beyond South Asia, the symbolic weight of the J-35 lies in its ability to challenge Western dominance in fifth-generation aircraft technology, particularly the US F-35. Should Pakistan acquire it, the move would underscore Beijing's intent to project influence through defense exports while positioning Islamabad as the first non-Chinese operator of an advanced stealth jet, a development that could rewrite not only regional but global strategic equations. Pakistan's long-standing reliance on Chinese defense cooperation has been one of the cornerstones of its survival strategy in maintaining aerial balance against India, and the current discussion around the J-35 fits seamlessly into that history. When Western suppliers either withheld critical technologies or restricted upgrades due to political pressure, China stepped in as the reliable partner willing to co-develop platforms tailored for Pakistan's needs. The most striking example of this was the JF-17 Thunder project, a fighter that allowed Pakistan to reduce dependence on aging American F-16s and Russian MiG-21 style aircraft, while creating a cost-effective backbone for its fleet. That program was not just about airplanes, it was about sovereignty in defense planning, about creating a platform that could be upgraded in blocks to match evolving threats, without waiting on conditional approvals from Washington or Moscow. This precedent sets the stage for why speculation around the J-35 is treated seriously in defense circles. Pakistan has already proven that it can co-develop, absorb, and operationalize advanced Chinese designs into its doctrine. The partnership also has a deeper layer of political trust. as both countries have aligned strategic interests in countering India's rising profile and deterring Western influence in the region. For Pakistan, China's defense offerings are more than arms sales. They are symbols of a partnership that extends into diplomacy, infrastructure through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and even nuclear collaboration in the past. Every time India has sought to gain an edge, whether through Mirage 2000s in the 1980s or Rafales in recent years, Pakistan has turned to Beijing to neutralize that advantage, and history suggests the J-35 conversation is no different. Critics highlight Pakistan's limited defense budget and wonder how such high-end acquisitions would be funded, but this overlooks the pattern of Chinese flexibility, including deferred payments, joint production arrangements, or symbolic initial transfers designed to send a message rather than immediately overhaul the fleet. Even if Pakistan were to acquire only a token squadron, the precedent of JF-17 shows how that can evolve into larger serial production once feasibility and doctrine align. Thus, the J-35 is not just a jet, but a continuation of a decades-long trajectory in which Pakistan leverages Chinese cooperation to stay relevant and credible against India's superior numbers and Western technology, preserving a fragile balance of power that has repeatedly prevented open conflict from tilting too far in one direction. The controversy surrounding Pakistan's alleged interest in the J-35 is rooted in a mix of speculation, geopolitical maneuvering, and genuine questions about feasibility. On one hand, there are credible reports that Chinese defense industry representatives have pitched the aircraft as a potential option for Pakistan, particularly because of the two nations' history of close cooperation in military aviation. On the other hand, there are skeptics who argue that Pakistan's current economic challenges and limited defense budget make such a procurement highly unlikely, at least in the near term. This clash of perspectives is precisely what fuels the debate and makes the J-35 such a polarizing subject in strategic circles. For Pakistan, even the mere rumor of interest in acquiring a stealth jet serves a deterrent purpose, signaling to India and others that it is not resigned to being left behind in next-generation warfare. For critics, however, these claims are nothing more than posturing without the hard cash or infrastructure to back them up. What complicates matters further is the question of whether China itself is ready to export the J-35 in its most advanced form. Historically, China has used Pakistan as a testbed for defense exports, refining platforms in Pakistani service before marketing them to the wider world, as seen in the JF-17 program. This adds weight to the possibility that China could indeed choose Pakistan as its first international partner for the J-35, but that in itself creates another layer of controversy. Would Pakistan receive a full-spec variant or a downgraded export model, and how would this affect its ability to counter India's growing capabilities with Rafales and potential future stealth platforms? The ambiguity surrounding these issues ensures that the J-35 remains more of a political weapon in discussions than an operational reality on the ground. Another aspect of the controversy revolves around timing. The J-35 is still under development and not fully operational within China's own air force. Analysts argue that it is premature for Pakistan to be associated with a platform that has yet to prove itself in combat or even large-scale exercises. Detractors point out that announcing interest in an untested aircraft is risky, as it creates expectations and political noise without providing immediate benefits to the Air Force. Supporters counter this by suggesting that Pakistan has always taken calculated risks in pursuing advanced technology ahead of time, understanding that even rumors of procurement can alter strategic calculations. In essence, the controversy is less about whether Pakistan has signed contracts or not, and more about how the perception of stealth capability, even unconfirmed, reshapes the conversation about future deterrence in South Asia and positions Islamabad once again at the center of a debate where technology, politics, and strategy converge. India's response to the evolving conversation around Pakistan's possible interest in the J-35 highlights just how sensitive the South Asian security environment is to even rumors of technological advancement. India has been steadily modernizing its air force with platforms like the Rafale and Su-30 Mki, alongside investments in indigenous projects such as the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, AMCA. However, the prospect of Pakistan acquiring a fifth-generation stealth jet, particularly through its close alignment with China, creates a new level of unease in New Delhi. For Indian strategists, the issue is not only about the number of J-35s Pakistan could field, but about the broader message it sends regarding the growing depth of Sino-Pak defense ties. India views China as its primary long-term rival, and the idea that Beijing might transfer cutting-edge stealth technology to Islamabad reinforces the fear of being encircled by a coordinated adversarial axis. This perception has the potential to accelerate India's push toward expanding ties with Western defense suppliers, particularly the United States and France, in order to hedge against a two-front challenge. The regional security dynamics are therefore shaped as much by perceptions and signaling as by the actual induction of new hardware. Even without formal confirmation, the speculation around J-35 transfers forces India to rethink its force posture and acquisition strategies, ensuring that any gap in stealth capability is addressed either through indigenous development or foreign partnerships. The concern is compounded by India's experience during past conflicts, where Pakistan often managed to offset India's numerical superiority with quality enhancements or tactical ingenuity, such as the introduction of F-16s in the 1980s and JF-17s in more recent years. The possible arrival of stealth jets like the J-35 follows the same pattern, raising fears that Pakistan could again close critical technological gaps faster than expected. On a broader level, these developments contribute to the narrative of an arms race in South Asia, where both India and Pakistan are locked in cycles of procurement that feed off each other's moves. For India, every signal that Pakistan may enhance its fleet becomes a justification to spend more, deepen defense diplomacy, and push for accelerated research into next-generation fighters. For Pakistan, the mere acknowledgement of Indian unease serves as a form of psychological deterrence, reinforcing the strategic value of keeping the J-35 debate alive. This dynamic illustrates the fragile equilibrium in South Asia, where perception of capability can be as destabilizing as actual possession, and where every shift in the regional air power equation carries consequences that ripple through alliances, budgets, and long-term strategies on both sides of the border. If Pakistan were to successfully integrate the J-35 into its air force, the implications for its future fleet strategy would be profound, reshaping the structure, doctrine, and deterrence posture of the PAF. At present, the Air Force relies heavily on a mixed fleet of F-16s, JF-17 Thunders, and the newer J-10C fighters acquired from China. This mix offers flexibility, but also presents vulnerabilities, especially as India continues to modernize its arsenal with Rafales, upgraded Su-30 Mkis, and future indigenous stealth aircraft. The induction of the J-35 would signal a deliberate move by Pakistan to adopt a layered fleet structure in which different platforms perform complementary roles. The JF-17, for example, would remain the workhorse of the Air Force, handling mass deployment and cost-effective missions, while the J-10C would serve as a multi-role bridge between fourth and fifth generation capabilities. The J-35, by contrast, would sit at the apex of this pyramid, tasked with penetrating deep into contested airspace, striking high-value targets, and neutralizing advanced air defense networks. Such a strategy does not necessarily require Pakistan to procure large numbers of the J-35. Even a limited squadron could drastically complicate India's operational planning, forcing its military to account for the possibility of stealth threats that could bypass conventional radar detection. This kind of uncertainty enhances deterrence by compelling adversaries to prepare for worst-case scenarios, even if Pakistan fields relatively few aircraft. The integration of stealth technology also opens up possibilities for new doctrines within the PAF, including electronic warfare missions, suppression of enemy air defenses, and long-range precision strikes that would previously have been too risky. Moreover, the combination of stealth fighters with existing platforms creates opportunities for tactics where stealth jets operate as spearheads, while less advanced aircraft provide mass and support. Financial and logistical constraints would inevitably shape how Pakistan proceeds, but history suggests that the country has often managed to maximize value from limited resources by carefully selecting platforms that complement one another. The JF-17 program is a prime example of how Pakistan built an affordable, upgradable backbone while still leaving room for high-end acquisitions like the J-10C. Adding the J-35 to this mix would represent not only a technological leap, but also a refinement of strategy, where Pakistan deliberately builds a fleet with overlapping layers of capability. This approach ensures that no single platform defines its air power, but together they create a networked, flexible, and resilient force structure capable of both defending national airspace and projecting power into contested regions. In the long run, the introduction of stealth into Pakistan's arsenal would mark a generational shift, placing the PAF on a trajectory where it could no longer be considered a step behind, but rather a force that rivals must constantly adapt to in order to maintain their own edge. The global optics of Pakistan potentially acquiring the J-35 extend far beyond South Asia, because this move would not only redefine regional balances, but also challenge entrenched narratives about where cutting-edge military technology comes from and who gets to wield it. For decades, the conversation about fifth-generation aircraft has been dominated by the United States and its allies, with the F-35 positioned as the benchmark for stealth multi-role fighters. Washington has carefully guarded this program, offering it only to trusted NATO allies or close partners under strict conditions. If Pakistan were to step into the realm of operating a comparable stealth jet supplied by China, it would signal the emergence of an alternative pathway for nations traditionally excluded from Western supply chains. This would be far more than a procurement decision. It would be a political statement about realignment in the global defense landscape, where China asserts itself as a credible exporter of next-generation systems and Pakistan becomes the showcase partner. Western capitals would inevitably interpret such a development through the lens of great power competition. To them, Pakistan flying a Chinese stealth jet is not just a South Asian event, but a sign of Beijing's growing confidence in projecting influence via defense partnerships. It would reinforce the perception that China is eroding Western technological exclusivity by offering high-end military solutions to countries outside the US-led security umbrella. This could provoke strong diplomatic reactions, ranging from renewed pressure on Pakistan through sanctions or restrictions on defense financing to increased lobbying of India as a counterweight. For Pakistan, however, the optics would be double-edged. On one side, it would gain prestige by being the first non-Chinese operator of such a jet, elevating its image as a technologically capable air force that punches above its economic weight. On the other side, it would risk further alienation from Western institutions, limiting its ability to diversify defense partnerships in the future. The ripple effects would also extend into the broader arms market. Countries that have been denied access to Western stealth aircraft, such as Iran, Turkey, or Middle Eastern states facing restrictions, would closely watch Pakistan's experience with the J-35 as a potential precedent. If the jet performs credibly, it could accelerate China's role as a global arms supplier, shifting influence away from Washington, Paris, and Moscow. The J-35 controversy, therefore, is not just about whether Pakistan can afford or operate the platform. It is about what it represents in a world increasingly shaped by US-China rivalry. In this sense, Pakistan's association with the J-35 becomes a litmus test of how far Chinese defense exports can stretch, how much Western powers are willing to tolerate, and how smaller states like Pakistan navigate the delicate balance of prestige, deterrence, and dependence in an era of renewed global competition. The J-35 debate ultimately proves that in modern air power, perception can be as decisive as possession.